Toxic partisanship, left versus right, us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're live here on WISL, so give us a call if you want to participate in the show. 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. You can also comment online as well. We're live on the Free Solution Facebook page, Free Solution YouTube channel, Free Solution group, the Kevin Wilson page, the Kevin Wilson Twitter, etc. So today I'm gonna spend most of this show talking about student loan stuff, right? So most of the show, but I'm gonna do one segment on cancel culture just because it is relevant to the Rochester area right now. It was a wild press conference yesterday that may have been, I'm not kidding, the worst thing I've ever seen. The worst press conference I've ever seen. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about cancel culture in general and kind of the concept of both freedom of association, where the government plays into this briefly, and where do people go in these situations? And so the background on this is that there's a press conference that was held yesterday by a couple who was accused of holding this party that was racist, right? And the actual government related piece of this is that a firefighter dude named Jared Jones was made to go to this party. And he's a black man. He was made to go to this party while on duty, as I understood it, and the captain made him do this, right? And so he brought a lawsuit against that. The captain ended up retiring before any termination proceedings started, and because of this, again, there's a lawsuit against the city and whatnot. And then the couple who was accused of having the party, the Nicosias, their reputation suffered pretty significantly because of this, right? And so in order to in an actual substantial way, it sounds like, I guess, the Dr. Nicosia, who's a dentist, is losing business, lost a board position. There are some legit consequences from this party, right? And again, they were facing those. So what they decided to do is they decided to hold a press conference to clear the air. And they probably did more damage to themselves during that press conference than anything that happened previously. Like, again, the people involved in this, the lawyer and anyone else, should be just embarrassed to have participated in this whole thing. In this press conference, they get out there and they they talk about, like, okay, well, here's the party, here's what really happened, and then reporters ask, well, okay, well, are those photos from the party? Because they're like, oh, it wasn't really a racist party. It wasn't a racist Juneteenth party. It was a political party, and here's some examples of games that we had. And there's one Juneteenth flag, but wasn't a big deal. And well, as it turns out, those are all staged. They weren't actual pictures from the party, so they're presenting a case that they wanted to do. There's, in this conference, there's also the lawyer talking about something that hadn't been confirmed yet, that a bunch of people suspected, that there's this racist Twitter account that was harassing people in Rochester and just posting like just really nasty, vile stuff. Like, this isn't like the borderline racist stuff, just nasty, vile stuff. And they admitted that was Mary's account. Like, why bring that up? Why talk about that if you're gonna try to clear the air? Oh, we're not racist, but like, yeah, she did run this racist account. Like, what? Why would you do that? Why? It blows my mind. And there's the lawyer Hogan, is just says, like, yeah, it's racist, vile, and shouldn't exist, but other people do it. That's not an excuse. That's not an excuse for bad behavior. And her husband, Dr. Nikosa, said, if this is really who she is on Twitter, then why, after living in a community for 25 years, there's no one outside Twitter, any representation at all that can say she has racist tendencies? I've never seen it. Yo, have you ever heard of the rule of goats? Let me tell you the rule of goats. I'll give you the polite version, the version that's okay for radio, but it says that, if you kiss a goat, even if you're doing it ironically, you are still a goat kisser. That's the polite version. And that's kind of what happened here. If you are playing a character, it doesn't matter if you're doing it ironically or you think you're just doing a bit. If you act a certain way, that says something about your character too. And in this case, again, if you're going around running a racist vile Twitter account and doing that, if you have a bunch of racist memorabilia in your home, if you have a party where you are mocking Juneteenth, where you're putting KFC buckets all over it, like I retweeted a few things from the thread of this press conference. Like, it is wild how incompetent this PR effort is. Like, just absolutely wild. And I'll just say this again. This isn't mostly to beat up on them. This is I mostly want to use this as an example of like cancel culture and freedom of association. It's that if you find yourself in these situations, don't make it worse, but B, take ownership of what you've done and do better. There are a lot of cancel culture situations where it is normal people who say something that they think is innocuous or make a bad joke, and they're like, oh man, that's not how I meant it. And a bunch of ultra woke people like take things too far and try to ruin this like average nobody's life, right? Like there's the case of like it was like an electrical worker it happened to, the woman who was on the plane who made a dumb joke about AIDS. It was a bad joke. That's not the case with this. These are powerful folks who've done fundraisers for both sides of the political aisle, who could have done things to show the content of the character through the work that they're doing and try to rebuild their reputations. They burned it down in this ridiculous press conference. And I know they're like, oh man, our lives are ruined, but they made it so it's national news now. It got picked up by New York Post and a whole bunch of other, outlets because of this press conference, because of how bad it was. So I'm sympathetic to folks who are victims of cancel culture, who don't say things that, again, I felt a little bit bad for, I'm blanking on his name now, but the weatherman in Rochester, like maybe that was a slip up and that was a dumb mistake, and people kind of piled on him. I felt bad for that. This not so much. Again, powerful people who did explicitly, like, it is not a question. And even the lawyer getting up saying like, yeah, it's racist and vile, like the Twitter account that Mary is running. It's not a question in this case. Now, cancel culture isn't always a bad thing. There are some times where we don't want to associate with those people. If this guy were my dentist, I would be like, you know what? I don't know that I want to go to him anymore. I don't know why I want to be associated with that kind of person. That kind of person who, who I think it seems like he knew about like his wife. He's trying to kind of deny it, but it kind of seems to me like he may have known about it. But maybe that's just speculation. Making excuses for bad behavior, participating in a party that seems like it has some ugly implications. I could understand why people don't want to associate with that. And that is your choice. That is freedom of association. I don't want to be around that. I don't want to be friends with people who are like that. I don't want to have those folks in my life. And I might try to, if you have those folks in your life, I might try to say like, hey, could you not do that? It's really bad stuff. It's ugly stuff. And you might try to talk to them, but there comes a point where you want to cut them out. You don't want to do business with them, where either as a reputational risk to yourself or as a moral position, you don't want to associate with those folks. And I think that's different from, again, someone made a mistake or made a bad joke and it's like, hey, I'm sorry. That's not me. That's not who I am, and do that. This is so much further than that. And yeah, I mean, again, this just is, I don't want to spend the whole show on this. It's just read the Twitter thread that I retweeted yesterday. Read the national stories about this. This is like the least sympathetic case of cancel culture, people claiming to be victims of cancel culture, that I have ever seen. It is absolutely wild to me. Again, careful what you do. Your actions reflect who you are. Even if you're doing it as a bit, even if you're doing it as a character, remember the rule of goats. And remember that your friends, the people you do business with, may choose not to associate with you, and that is their right to do. If they say that the content of their character is so vile, is so ugly that they don't want to be around you, they don't want other people associating them with you, you need to find ways to make recompense, to find ways to be better, to have your actions reflect better in the community and work towards that. And it's going to take a lot of work, I imagine, for this couple to gain their reputation back after this. Again, they made it so much worse with the press conference yesterday. All right. Anyway, again, not spending the whole show on this. I'm going to spend the whole rest of the show talking about student loan stuff. We're going to talk about the student loan crisis, where we're at. We'll talk about the new Biden administration proposal, why it's probably not a good idea, and some actual solutions that we should be pursuing in this situation. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Give us a call if you want to participate in the show, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. We're going to be back in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hey, this is Kevin Wilson, host of A Free Solution. You ever needed a tool for just one project, but didn't want to spend the cash for something you'd use just once or twice? Well, there's a new tool library in Rochester where you can borrow just the thing you need instead of buying a new one. It's called the Tool Shed from the Southeast Area Coalition, and membership starts at just $25 a year. Use it for home projects or to support your business. Learn more and become a member at seektoolshed.org. That's SEAC toolshed.org.
Only available in the WISL store at WISL1040.com. Official top quality tees, hoodies, and coffee mugs depicting the colorful WISL logo or the already famous Mount Worstmore line of merch depicting Mount Rushmore style are for worst presidents. Of course, you know who is front and center up on that mountain. WISL official items make perfect gifts, or they're a great way for you to make a personal statement. Locally produced and sold only in the WISL store at WISL1040.com.
A Free Solution on the WYSL stations.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us here on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday afternoon. And sounds like we have a caller on the line. Keith, good friend Keith. Keith, welcome to A Free Solution. What's up, Keith?
There's an old saying in the Bible that says that he who has not sinned gets to throw the first stone. I got news for everyone in the audience, especially all of us whites, us Caucasians. We have all sinned. I don't know up front really about the would-be shortcomings of this couple. The man, the husband, is the long-term dentist, and to say it from an old-fashioned term, I guess his wife is somewhat of a socialite. But when it comes to matters of race, the dominant culture can often make mistakes, whether it's called outright cultural appropriation. I'm sorry, and I guess now I'm apologizing to non-whites. In the dominant culture, in this case, us whites, still dominant white culture, whether anyone likes it or not, us whites, us caucs, we will make mistakes because this is our culture. And even bringing in the fire department captain who had to quote unquote retire, us whites, when it comes to interacting with minorities, as they're called, we will make mistakes all the time just because that is the way we are. And I would ask non-whites, since we're talking specifically about African Americans, if all of us were go, in this case, to the continent of Africa, where black people are dominant, where they are truly in majority, they make mistakes too. So twofold, the dominant culture always makes mistakes when interacting and operating with members of minority cultures. We just do, and we should not be jumped on because in this case, having to do with the best country in the world, the United States of America, like it or not, we are still dominant white. Yes, there is the proverbial browning of America, but
all right, Keith. Let me. You're kind of on a rant here a bit, but let me interject to just be like, this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't like made an oopsie. Like this is malicious. Like the way that they acted and presented, it was mocking, it was derogatory, it was, again, ugly stuff. This wasn't like I made a social faux pas type of thing. This was outright racist. Like, again, I don't know specifically about the doctor, but like they admitted in the press conference that the Mary Nicosia ran a racist Twitter account, and the account that everyone thinks it was, like, it wasn't subtle. It wasn't borderline. It was pretty explicitly racist. It was bad. So again, this isn't a oopsie. This isn't a I said the wrong thing. Like, how embarrassing. This is malicious, and I think that gets treated differently, much differently in my book, and I think in the eyes of most people. And again, freedom of association. If you see that amongst your friends and business associates, you might just not want to be associated with them, and that's fair. Again, that's cancel culture sometimes does make sense, and I don't feel bad here. All right, anything to add, Keith? But I do want to get the student loan stuff today. But anything else to add, Keith?
Yeah. Where's the forgiving factor? Where is the old maxim? Walk in someone else's moccasins before you stone them to death. Everyone gets a second or third chance. We don't cut people off at the knees. This is a long-standing couple, apparently. The man was the dentist for the Rochester Red Wings, and they just cut him short. Like he said, he's had a 32-year reputation that they lost in 2 hours. Where is the forgiveness that we look? And I would especially ask that of non-whites. Do you just throw stones at this white couple because they were human? You may not like
they were human. Again, they weren't like, they didn't mispronounce someone's name or something. This was not a microaggression. This was a macroaggression. Like what they are, I think not even just accused of doing, like, it's confirmed that what again, especially what Mary did, the party seems likely to have happened too. The city investigated it, confirmed that something did happen too. This isn't, I think people can decide to forgive or choose not to associate on their own terms. Again, there's plenty of folks that I might not want to associate with, either because of that or because they are, they're scolds, or they're, annoying in the other direction. But like this is, again, malicious. People can decide that on their own terms, Keith, and no one's owed forgiveness, particularly if there isn't an apology, particularly if there isn't a kind of sincere reckoning and, prove and change the behavior, right? Again, and my sincere hope is that, like, that they stop doing that stuff and they use the influence and wealth that they still have to do good in the community, and they hopefully find forgiveness over time. But you got to actually do better. That's
you're saying that they alone do that. I'm saying if you're human, period, you can and will engage in that behavior. It's just not this couple, like it or not, on the part of everyone in this audience and everywhere. It's all of us. The old.
I'm not posting racist stuff on Twitter. I don't know about you, Keith, but I ain't doing that.
Something in your own life. If you remember the cartoon Pogo, the old maxim, we have seen the enemy and it is us. We have seen the enemy and it is us. We all sin. We all walk this earth as sinners, and we are all deserving, like it or not, of forgiveness. And that is what's being missing here. These people are being stoned to death.
Keith, I to death. No, that not literally, not to death. They're going to be fine. They are pretty well off, and they'll be fine. And I'm glad you're in a forgiving mood. I mean, Keith, are you coming around on criminal justice reform? Should we be more forgiving there too?
No, because you got to be logical and keep your head about it. You don't let bad guys just out on the street because, you feel sorry for them, or because of admittedly bad practices in the past. Unlike many whites, I don't run away from the race issue. The majority of the criminals being cut loose are in that category of the black male. What are we supposed to do? Say, we're sorry for centuries of slavery and let black criminals out just to assuage our white guilt? Keith,
this has been fun and all, but we have another caller on. Thank you so much for calling in. Dave from Brockport. Dave, what's on your mind?
Forgiveness. I'm thinking, can I refinance my house as a student loan and maybe save 10 grand?
Oh, clever idea. You write to the Biden administration. That's
I could take out a student loan for a new boat, maybe, 100 grand, 200 grand. I don't know. And
wait, it's got to be part of your studies though. And actually, no joke. I did build a boat as part of my studies my senior year of college.
Well, there you go. You take the loan out and we'll buy the boat together. How's that?
There we go. All right. So sounds like a good plan. I mean, in the meantime, though, thank you all for paying off part of my student loans. I really appreciate it. You guys are so generous. And by generous, I mean forced to at the under a threat of violence from the government.
And I've got my own personal IRS agent coming up. That'll be cool.
Even better.
My next garage sale, I better record those receipts a little better.
That's right. You're going to get audited. They will have the manpower to audit you now.
Now, yeah, if I find a $10 bill on the grass or something, have I got to report that too?
Probably. Yeah, if you find a $10 bill, if you find if you engage in criminal activity too, remember, criminal proceeds from criminal activity has to be reported to the IRS. And actually, I'm curious if loan forgiveness is going to be part of that too. I really don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to brush up on all those codes now that we're each going to have our own personal one.
Yeah, it's going to
time for a break, my friend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But Dave, anything else to add before we go? Kind of build this segment here.
No, just an incredible amount of stupidity practiced by people that are supposed to be adults. I've been accused of a million things in my life, probably guilty of half of them. Wouldn't even think of doing something as dumb as those people did.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just tasteless, totally stupid and tasteless.
Yeah, it's bad stuff. And again, they knew better. Everyone knows better.
I
park
my vehicles a certain way when I have liberals over, so they don't get offended by my bumper stickers just because I'm a human.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it. Again, everyone, you have a right to express your opinion, and you can do this stuff, and it's not against the law to do this stuff, but you still got to interact with people. And again, whether it's something really outlandish like this, or it's just an opinion, and you're like, well, do I want to have that discussion with my progressive relatives about my libertarian bumper stickers? Maybe. And again, maybe you engage with that, you defend it, you do your thing, but we all have to continue interacting with one another in different ways. And again, you can cross a line and go too far. And again, I've met folks left and right who've crossed the line, and I'm like, I don't think I want to hang out with you anymore. Like you're advocating terrible stuff, and I'm just not here for it.
Yeah, I've got friends that are 180 degrees apart politically, but we have certain things in common. Let's say boats. So we just talk boats. We don't talk politics. We agree to disagree on certain things, but we can still be friends and follow our passion that we share.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of that. Most people have more to agree on than disagree on. And, that's my optimistic view of humanity. All right. So, Dave, thank you so much for calling in. Keith, thanks for calling in, too. We're going to be back here on The Free Solution in a few minutes, hopefully to talk about student loans. Give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. We'll be back in just a few.
Pray for the USA. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll have mainly clear skies, comfortably cool. We'll drop into the low 60s, upper 50s. On Thursday, a partly sunny sky, low to mid 80s, a touch more humid. Chance for a shower or storm Thursday night. Better chance for a few thundery downpours on Friday in the upper 70s. That front will clear out for some nice sunshine heading into the weekend. I'm Rich Canilia, WYSL.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Because your future is worth it. MGM Associates Insurance, proudly serving the region since 1984. MGM can meet your coverage needs, ranging from home, condo, and auto, all the way to specialized policies for business, workers' comp, to limo and taxi insurance, and coverage for tech professionals like IT specialists. They can also help lead you through the confusing maze in the new world of health insurance coverage and options. MGM Associates is large enough to serve you, but small enough to care, so you don't have to wait in line on some 800 number to get prompt personal attention. MGM Associates is the only winner of the National Best Practices Award 5 times in a row. MGM is proud to support veterans groups including Heroes Home Advantage. For your personal, business, home, or professional insurance needs, meet the professionals at MGM Associates Insurance, locally and proudly owned at 1745 Penfield Road in Penfield, 381-7008. Or mgminsure.com, an associate of Ontario Insurance Company, 28 Canandaigua Street in Shortsville.
Ew, Dad, why are toenails so ugly and yellow?
Hey, it's James, and if you're like me and suffer from toenail fungus, please pay close attention. Let's face it, toe fungus is embarrassing. I was afraid to take my socks off and hid my yellow and crumbly toes from everybody. But nail fungus isn't just a cosmetic problem. It can also be dangerous. Even a small spot can spread and get worse. But no matter what I tried, it seemed like my fungus would never go away. Then I discovered Crystal Flush, the new FDA-registered at-home treatment. This unique two-step system flushes out fungus at its source and reverses damaged nails. Finally, me and thousands of others are free from fungus. And you can be too. Call now, and for a limited time, you can try Crystal Flush risk-free for 30 days. Call 800-354-1957. That's 800-354-1957. Eliminate your toe fungus once and for all, guaranteed. Call now, 800-354-1957, or visit crystalflush.com.
Take it, Tony.
How's that?
Terrific, man. Hold on. Hello.
Honey, we need help. The house is like an oven.
Oh, man, now I really got the blues.
What's the skinny, Pete?
AC's down and the house is hot. What am I going to do, brother?
Call Taylor, 500 help. Their air conditioning experts will fix things up and have you singing in no time.
500 help? Now that's a cool number.
I think I'm really getting it, man.
Call Taylor, 500 help.
If you think today's gas prices are out of control, think what it might cost to heat your home this winter. Consider Aaron Moore infrared zone heaters, which may save you up to 50% compared to using your furnace. Aaron Moore zone heaters have no exposed hot surfaces, completely safe around pets and children, plus easy roll casters. And new copper PTC technology means no bulbs to replace ever. Save big on heating bills and stay comfy and healthy this winter. Buy direct and get lowest prices anywhere on the web. Call 800-707-8725 or visit more.com.
We all look forward to summer vacation. But homelessness doesn't go away in the summer. In fact, it increases. Before you go away, leave a gift to help those in need. OpenDoorMission.com.
All Seasons Wine and Spirits, East Main Street, Avon offers the largest selection of New York State wines in Livingston County. Save 10% on a case you can mix and match. Open daily. Avon's home of good spirits. All Seasons Wine and Spirits.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thanks again for joining us. Give us a call if you want to participate in the show, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. Or leave your comments online, wherever streaming. I want to get to a couple of these really quick. Patty on Facebook just says, keep speaking the truth. You guys have them scared, I think. And also says, you have the freedom to do as you like and say what you want to, but there are consequences to your action, losing friends, customers, jobs, etc. Yeah, again, that's... You have the freedom of speech, but freedom of speech only protects you from government actions. If you say something and people decide they don't want to associate with you anymore, that's their choice to do. They don't want to do business with you. Whatever. They have a right to do that too. No one is obligated to hang out with you if you were going to say dumb stuff. That's how it is. That's how society ought to be. It can go too far sometimes. I get it, but not so much in this case. And then someone posted, it's a slightly different topic, and I'm not going to go into it too much, but Valerie on Facebook says, Kevin, you should have seen the county legislature meeting last night. It was discussing how they ignored every speaker who spoke out against Dr. Mendoza being hired another year. Goes on to say, Mendoza made wrong decisions that harmed many during COVID. He towed the government line, hurt children in schools. These children are behind in school and will never catch up because of these COVID policies. I should do a whole show on that, Dr. Mendoza, and the power of kind of county public health. I think a lot of conservatives attribute far more power to Dr. Mendoza than he actually has, which isn't to say he hasn't made bad recommendations that people have acted on. But I do want to do a show talking about what power does a county, official of his level actually have, and where do we go from here? Again, what we've learned from COVID, what policies were advocated for, and how those impacted our lives. We can do another show on that, but I think that's a separate thing. And then let's talk about student loans. All right. So again, if you haven't heard the news, there's a proposal from the Biden administration where up to $20,000 in loans can be forgiven if you were a Pell Grant recipient, and up to $10,000 in loans can be forgiven if you are making under $125,000 or under $250,000 of married couples filing jointly. And that means that, my wife and I make less than that jointly, and we'd be eligible for $20,000 in forgiveness for loans. So again, I joked, I'm like, thank you for paying that off. And it does kind of, it makes me mad because I could pay it off. I'm perfectly capable of doing that, as are many people who make that level of income. This policy is really regressive. It isn't just going after the people who are the neediest. But as we go into this, I want to start with a little bit of empathy. Then we're going to talk about the scope of the situation. Then we're going to talk about why this is bad, and then we're going to talk about solutions. All right. Now, so again, I'll start with a bit of empathy because I know a lot of people have made mistakes in relation to student loans. Again, I know some folks have paid off their loans. Some folks never went to college in the first place. Some folks, were smarter about structuring, how they paid for college, all that stuff. But there are a lot of particularly kind of lower middle class, working class families who didn't think they would be able to get to college. Taking out loans seems like a way to do that. And the gamble overall is good. That there's still a lot of evidence that if you get a 4-year degree, you're likely to make more income over the course of your life than if you don't. But it's a little bit more lopsided, where immediately after college, you might not make much at all. And if you don't move in your career in a smart way, or you don't get lucky, or something bad happens to you, you could end up not making money. But if you do all those things right, you usually end up making more money. On average, people end up making more money. So again, you're working class, you're lower middle class, and your family isn't going to be able to contribute much toward your college. Maybe get some scholarships, but I didn't get much, right? So I took out a bunch of loans because I'm like, hey, this is the way to advance myself. Everyone in school, my parents, everyone told me this is the thing to do. You need to go to college. You need to get a degree. And it's not necessarily a bad move. But you do this and you get all this money and you don't really think about it, right? You're just like, all right, well, I got to do this. And especially many folks, they get, and it's their senior year and they're, maybe they've blown through all their scholarship money at this point, and they're like, man, what do I do next? So you just, again, you take out more loans, and then you take them out from the government, you take them out from private loans, and you're just like, gosh, I can't like be 3 years into it, have all this debt, and then still not actually get the piece of paper that says, I'm a better employee. You do this and you get out, and then you're like, okay, cool. Now what? Again, many folks, myself included, I got out of college. I did politics for a while, and then I worked in retail for a while. I jumped around a whole bunch of jobs. I didn't make a lot of money my first few years out of college. And some folks, they'll do this. They'll try to make the payments where they can. Sometimes that means making significant life sacrifices if you're paying for this stuff yourself, smaller apartments, not being able to save for retirement, all this stuff. And then even if you do what you think is the right thing, you get like the IBR package, the income-based repayment package. You think, okay, well, I'll do this, and I only have to pay a certain percentage based on my income, and that might be nothing. But what you don't realize is if you don't do it the right way, you may end up still having to pay the interest on those things if you go back to a non-income based repayment system. And that's what happened to me, right? So I paid for many years. I had this system and thought I was paying off, thought I was being smart, and I paid thousands and thousands of dollars into this. And then I got out of that IBR. I was like, oh, I could just pay, like no big deal. And then I'm like, wait, how the heck do I owe more money than I started? How is that possible? I thought I was the interest was not a big deal here. No, I made a mistake. I made a stupid mistake, and now I owe more money because of that. I owe more money to the government. Even though I was paying a lot of money in, I'm still right where I started. And a lot of people are in that position, and that stinks. And yet you get in that position, and you're like, man, I'm so mad at the government. I'm so mad at the schools. I'm not where I want to be financially. Someone needs to do something about that. So that's where they start. Again, I feel bad for folks because there are many people who do all that, who do the same things I do, who pay in for many, many years, and they aren't financially literate enough when they make those initial decisions of going to college and starting to pay off their loans to understand how they're making poor financial decisions that end up putting them in more debt because they don't know that stuff. Myself included. And then I'm paying a price, literally paying a price for it. And so now that's where we are. Joe Biden is offering loan forgiveness for those folks who are mad about that, who have a outsized influence on politics. And many of them who have these student loans are into politics. They're in, the legislative offices of Congress. They're in press rooms. They're making a lot of noise about this stuff. And now they have this outsized influence. Now, again, I mentioned right at the beginning, college is for most people still a good investment. A lot of those folks who have the biggest amount of debt, the folks who went to graduate school, maybe some of which, went to law school, they're not making that amount of money yet. They're not making $125,000 yet, but they're early in their career. They're eligible for this forgiveness. In the long term, they're going to make way more than someone who got a 4-year degree or someone who didn't go to college at all. And now the Biden administration is going to just forgive $10,000 over the loans. That doesn't seem right to me. That's what rubs people the wrong way. Is again, you're looking at this in the short-term view. And worse than that is this doesn't actually do anything to solve the fundamental problem of why our college prices going up and up and up and up. Why aren't people making decisions based on price? They're just making decisions on the hope of maybe getting a future income, but it doesn't work out for everyone. So we got this problem of this being essentially a regressive subsidy for the wealthy, for folks who are likely to make more money later on, and not actually controlling the problem. So future students, you're either going to have to do the same thing again, which this is going to cost somewhere in the range of, I think it was $329 billion. Just a boatload of money. Like the amount of money that's supposed to be, quote, saved by the Inflation Reduction Act, this wipes all that out. Like immediately, like just one thing, which may or may not be legal to, it may be unconstitutional, this action by the Biden administration. I'm sure it'll get fought over, but I'm not going to get into that today. Mostly I want to talk about, like, even if this came from Congress, even if everything was on the up and up and constitutional, would this be a good idea? And the answer is still no, because if you have the ability to get unlimited student loans, there's no incentive for colleges to control price. There's no reason for them to lower price, because why would they? That isn't the barrier to entry. The barrier to the decision for many students isn't the cost. It's what programs are available, what residence halls are available, what amenities are available. That's the decision that many students are making. So the incentive for the colleges in many cases is, well, we can raise tuition and have more money to do that stuff that students are making decisions on and improve our education programs, or we can lower tuition, which may or may not bring in a few more students, but because they're not that price sensitive, there's very little upside to them. So price keeps going up and up and up. And that's the fundamental problem we have to fix. That's the thing that the Biden administration needs to address before we can actually tackle student loan crisis. Without doing that, this is going to be a $329 billion waste. So when we come back, we'll talk more about those solutions. Again, give us a call if you want to participate in the show, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. We'll be back here on A Free Solution in a few minutes.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hey, this is Kevin Wilson, host of A Free Solution. You ever need a tool for just one project, but didn't want to spend the cash for something you'd use just once or twice? Well, there's a new tool library in Rochester where you can borrow just the thing you need instead of buying a new one. It's called the Tool Shed from the Southeast Area Coalition, and membership starts at just $25 a year. Use it for home projects or to support your business. Learn more and become a member at seektoolshed.org. That's SEAC toolshed.org.
Hi, Bob Savage here with a boost and good news for business owners and managers. We know it's been tough sledding with government working against you post-pandemic, so we've come up with a low-cost ad package, and for a limited time, once you're a WYSL advertiser, we'll run a bonus that's free extra schedule for job openings you're trying to fill. We'll feature your business and describe the positions you have open, all at absolutely no charge. At the WYSL stations, we're not just the voice of liberty, we're the small business friend. Call 346-3000 for details. All major credit cards welcome.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today. Thanks again for joining us here on WYSL and online as well. And we're again, we're talking about student loans today, and I know a few folks like Patty talking about, like, just Penny on Facebook saying I had no clue what I was getting into. They would not give me a car or home loan at a time, but they did for a degree. And again, it's one of those funny things, right? Like it's tough for an 18-year-old with no work experience, 17-year-old no work experience to get any other kind of loan, even one with like collateral, right? Like a car or house or etc. Or to get a loan that might be productive, like a business loan. It's tough to do that, particularly without cosigners. And again, you can get many loans without cosigners as parents, although there's without cosigners as a student, but there are parent plus loans where you do have those cosigners, etc. But yeah, it is weird that so many students don't know. Again, I didn't know either. Again, I'm happy with my college experience. I like that. I met my wife there. I think I became a better writer and thinker because of that experience. But I do think, based on what I know now, like, could I have gotten that experience elsewhere? I'm not in my field right now. I got a history and political science degree. I apply that knowledge in this show, but that's not what I do professionally. I do marketing professionally. So it's very different. And maybe I could have learned that outside the college experience. Maybe other people do too. Again, nothing against my college. I loved it. I had a great time. I learned a ton, but it probably isn't something that everyone needs to do. Now, let's talk about solutions, though. There's a few different things, right? Again, the biggest thing is getting rid of that incentive. Again, this isn't idle speculating either. Again, I understand the conversations that exist around the incentives for colleges to increase their cost, right? Again, both residence hall costs and tuition costs. Again, it's like if students aren't price sensitive, and most of them aren't, why bother lowering cost if it's not going to bring in that many more students? If you can raise the cost, again, this is just basic business. If you can raise the cost of the good, even if you have fewer customers, and you ultimately have more resources to be able to dedicate to improving education. Again, most colleges are nonprofit, so it's not like the boards making these decisions are looking to walk away with sacks of money. It's they want to improve the quality of life on their campus. That's what it is. But it's a lot of bad, perverse incentives. So we need to get rid of that. So there's a couple ways that we can do that. So one is that you could give colleges some liability for when their students fail to pay back loans, right? Like if you get so many years out, you could have some liability. And there's some, like when colleges close, there's things like that, and you can have student loan forgiveness, and the government can try to recover some of those assets. I'm trying to remember what the big college that closed down, that for-profit college that closed down recently, and what happened with that. But there is a way for a government to do that with colleges that close, not so much with ones that continue. So you could have some liability, not the full thing, but some liability that colleges face a penalty for failing to prepare their students adequately to pay back their loans and pursue a career. And they're on the hook for something, right? Like, hey, if you don't, if your students aren't ready to pay back their loans, 10% of that can be recovered through your endowment or something, right? Like whatever it is. And again, I don't know what the specific policy in that would look like. There's a lot of complicated stuff with that. And I don't want to totally erase the individual agency of the students who often can and should pay their loans back and have to make their own decisions responsibly for doing so. But giving the colleges a little bit of liability would provide a bit more incentive for them to keep costs under control. You could also make student loans dischargeable through bankruptcy, right? Like student loan debt right now, like even if you go bankrupt, student loan debt isn't part of that. That stays forever. And again, some folks, they get in way over their head. Maybe they don't even finish the degree. They get $100,000 in debt. Even if all their other debts get erased, student loan debts kind of still stick around, at least the government ones. You could also lower interest rates too. They have subsidized unsubsidized student loans. So you have like these ones that are like 6.5%, and then like ones that are a little bit closer to the rate of inflation, like 3%. And you could just lower the rates. Again, the government makes money off of this stuff. The loan servicing companies make money off of this stuff. You could just say, we're not going to make money off of this. We're just going to do that. But again, I think the tougher solution, the one that's not going to be politically feasible, but probably do the most good, is to just limit the amount of money that students can take out. To just say, hey, we're not going to, what we've been doing before, this doesn't work. This was an experiment that we tried, and the intentions were good. But given the other technology that's out there, given how many more resources there are for learning, given how a lot of employers are starting to change what they perceive as the necessity of a degree requirement, then I didn't, when I was looking to hire people, I didn't look at college degrees. It didn't matter to me. You say, okay, you're going to have to stand up a little bit more. We'll give you a little bit, but we're going to cap it at $10,000 or something, whatever it is, right? Like we'll help you get the rest of the way there. Colleges and universities will have to react to that appropriately, right? They'll say, oh, shoot, we can't just do whatever we want, raise the prices however we want. We're going to need some of those students who are borderline to still come here. So they can do that through fundraising, raising money for scholarships. There'll be other folks who will try to get loans through the private market, which you can do. I did too. Those ones I paid off because they're higher interest. Great. I took care of those for mine. So did my wife, and you can do that. Again, and those private organizations that offer student loans, they're going to be a little bit more scrupulous in figuring out if you want to if you're going to have a plan to do that. Again, there are interesting things that can happen in the market. There are other ways too, where there are colleges and loan organizations who will say, okay, instead of you paying back any fixed amount of money for 10 years, you have to give us a fixed percentage of your income, right? You can just say, okay, you're giving whatever, 3 to 5% of your income, whatever it is. So you're going to make the, okay, if you're not making very much money, they might not get all that much from that. But if you get out of college and you immediately get a 6-figure job, they make back their investment and then some. There are interesting things that could happen in a freer market. Again, because right now, this is going to cost us on average about $2,000 per taxpayer. And obviously it's a little bit different because we have our progressive income tax system, but $2,000 each. Again, for many people who never went to college, who didn't get the benefit from this system, that doesn't strike me as right. Again, I'm someone who benefits from this. I'm someone who would, if I use this program, would benefit significantly from it. It's nice, but again, doesn't solve the underlying issues. There has to be an incentive to have prices under control or to make a less distorted market for colleges. Because again, you got the progressive left is like, you know what we can do is we can just make college free. Again, we saw that in New York State with like the SUNY schools with tuition getting significantly discounted for New York State residents who stay here. Okay, cool, but like, is it necessary for everyone to have these college degrees? Who ought to pay for it? Is it the student who is going to benefit ultimately from this? Again, maybe not in the short term, maybe not in the first 10 years of their career. First 10 years of their career, it can stink. It's hard. Again, I have been through it. But most people, they get through the rough first years of their career, they eventually make more money, and people who have bachelor's degrees ultimately tend to make more money in the long term. It's just getting through those first few years. And so the other thing that we do is just, again, restructure the payments more effectively. Supposedly the Biden administration is doing this to restructuring what IBR, income-based repayment, looks like. Great. That is something good that we can do to try to alleviate this a little bit. But again, you're still not attacking the fundamental problem here. You still got to take away those incentives, those bad incentives for students to feel like the only way that they can possibly succeed is by going to college. And for colleges to take for granted that these students are going to be able to get in, get the money that they need, whatever they need to pay for it through loans, not thinking about the long-term consequences of that. And then, and doing this is going to mean it's going to be a rough time for colleges who have a lot of lobbying power. But if we want to actually fix this crisis, if we want to actually get, there's over $1 trillion in student loan debt out there. If we actually want to like make a dent in this and solve a problem, there are ways we could do it. Not always politically popular, but there are ways that we can do it. We've just got to have the political will, the gumption to make it happen. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Hope that was helpful and informative. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Take care.